Okay, so get this right. This deep dive, we're going right into the core of AI. Like, can we actually get AI to think twice? Like, really think? And what happens if we can pull that off?
It's way beyond just, feeding AI info. It's like, are we getting close to, like, human reasoning?
Yeah.
And can we actually build a machine that does that?
We're going deep on this research paper, and man, it's causing a stir. Fine-tuning with divergent chains of thought boosts reasoning through self-correction in language models. It's kind of huge.
This paper, it's tackling this thing that's been bugging AI researchers forever. How do we get AI to do multi-step reasoning and do it well?
Right, because now they just grab the first answer they find. This research, though, it's got a wild new approach.
So picture this. Instead of one train of thought, this new thing, they call it Divergent Chain of Thought, or DCoT, it makes the AI generate multiple reasoning paths all at once.
Like, we've got a room full of AI all tackling the problem, but like from different angles?
Exactly. But here's the thing. These thought chains, they're not working in isolation. They're all happening together. So later chains can use what the earlier ones did, maybe even correct them, just like when we try to figure out something hard.
So it's more than just brainstorming, right? The AI can see flaws in its own logic, self-correct. We haven't really seen that before, have we?
And that is where it gets really interesting. They found that by just doing this, getting the AI to think twice with these thought chains, it started self-correcting.
Wait, self-correcting, like it's making its answers better without us telling it what's wrong? That's wild.
Yeah. It could mean a kind of learning that. Well, it changes things. AI solving problems, but getting better all the time, maybe without us needing to step in.
Okay, that's both exciting and kind of freaky. But before we go full sci-fi, let's back up. How did they even test this DKCO thing? What did they make the AI do?
To test it, they couldn't just use any old data. They had to pick stuff that would really challenge different parts of AI reasoning, push it to the limit.
So they really went out of their way to find data that would make this DCoT sweat a little. What kind of stuff were they using?
Okay, so one was this thing called GSM8K, and it's full of those math word problems, like from school, trains, leaving stations at different times, that kind of thing. Really gets you thinking step by step to get the answer.
Oh man, those things. And how DCoT do with those? Because honestly, I always struggled with those.
It was amazing. Like, this is where thinking twice really made a difference. Instead of just going with the first calculation that seemed okay, the AI could try the problem different ways, like just like a student would, right? Yeah. Try different formulas or whatever, double checking. And because it was doing all these thought processes at the same time, could be like, wait, this doesn't add up, and catch those errors.
Yeah.
And it ended up way more accurate, especially for the smaller AI models.
So even if an AI isn't like the biggest, most powerful one out there, this DCoT thing, it can still hold its own.
Totally. It's like giving someone who's still learning how to solve problems a bunch of tools and tricks, right? Makes them way more effective. And it got even cooler when they switched from just math to this other data set, strategy QA.
Strategy QA. Okay. Sounds intriguing. What's so strategic about it?
So strategy QA, it's all about questions, where it's not just knowing facts, it's understanding the strategy to find the answer, connecting the dots, the bigger picture. Like one question they used was, did Aristotle use a laptop?
Okay, yeah, good question. Aristotle, brilliant guy, but laptops back then, not so much.
Exactly. See, a regular AI, it might get stuck looking for a direct link between Aristotle and laptops, and obviously that's a dead end. But with DQA, it can think strategically. It could have one chain of thought figuring out when Aristotle lived and another one on how computers were invented and all that.
So it's pulling together all these different pieces of info, almost like a detective with clues, and then it gets the answer by actually reasoning, not just knowing stuff.
You got it. And the cool part is, no one told the AI about the history of technology or anything. It figured that out on its own, just by making and comparing all these different chains of thought.
That's mind-blowing. And that self-correction thing, learning from itself like that seems like the real game changer here.
For sure. They found that the more reasoning chains the AI made, the better it got at self-correcting, the more accurate its answers were. More thinking, more exploring different options, better results.
It's like the AI is learning as we speak. And that's got some huge implications. But before we go too far down that road, were there any times when this thinking twice thing, maybe wasn't so great? So it sounds like sometimes you don't want the AI going down a million rabbit holes, right? There are times when overthinking makes things worse.
Yeah, and the researchers really wanted to see how DCoT would handle that. They used this thing called Big Bench Hard. It's basically a bunch of tasks that are meant to trip up even the smartest AI. And what they found was kind of interesting. with these really, really hard problems, smaller AI models, when they were just using the normal single chain of thought, they actually did worse.
Like adding more steps to something that's already messed up.
Exactly. But here's the thing, DCoT, even on these super hard tasks, it didn't really make things worse. It was about the same as the regular way of doing things.
Mhm.
And in some cases, especially with the bigger AI models, it actually did better.
So even when thinking too much could be a bad thing, DCoT still held its own. That's pretty impressive. But I'm still kind of stuck on this whole self-correction thing. Like, how much is the AI actually learning by itself, and how much is just because of this DCoT thing?
That's the big question, right? And the researchers, they admit that they need to do more work to really understand how it all works. But here's what's really cool. Remember how they used all those different tasks to test DCoT? Well, when they were training it, they only showed the AI examples of the right way to reason.
So the AI never actually saw an example of what not to do. No one told it how to spot a mistake.
Exactly. But even without that, it could still self-correct. You'd get better answers just by making and comparing those different chains of thought. It seems like something deeper is going on, like maybe this divergent thinking. It's tapping into how these AI models learn at a more basic level.
So maybe we're not just making AI better at solving problems. We're giving it the ability to improve itself, to get better at getting better. That's huge.
It is huge. Imagine what we could do if we can get this level of self-correction just by changing how we talk to AI. If we can use even more of these human ways of thinking, who knows what's possible? We're not just making smarter AI, we're giving AI the tools to learn and grow on its own. And honestly, that's something we all need to think about.